Hey, mighty companions, this is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Facebook Live. And we're going to do a very powerful section tonight. And we're going to talk about from lesson 47 in the Course in Miracles workbook, because there's so much going on right now. There's so much uncertainty. And so we want to see what the Course in Miracles says about God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. Love, the truth, our creator, is the strength in which I trust. This is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Facebook Live. Lesson 47 in the Course in Miracles workbook, God, our creator, love, is the strength in which we trust. So let's kick it off.
There's a call for a God, I see it everywhere. Everybody's running scared, and everything is turning upside down. But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves. When you choose him, you know you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you will know that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one.
Welcome to Facebook Live. I'm Earl Purdy, and we're going to get down. This is for Course in Miracles students, and anybody's welcome to watch. But Thursdays are for serious, sincere study of A Course in Miracles. So I want you to take advantage of my 40 years of working with A Course in Miracles to save you some time. Because people make the Course in Miracles much more complicated than it needs to be. So we want to open ourselves up. We're on lesson 47. God is the strength in which I trust.
You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can
met Brother John Christmas at www.johnchristmas.com. That's where you can get that music. It feels really good to be here with you. I feel cooled and chilled out this evening. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to just kind of relax and chill out and let's hear the Course in Miracles. It's so good to have you here with me. We're going to do lesson 47 in the Course in Miracles on page 75 in the Course in Miracles workbook. There's so much going on that we need to put the focus, or rather I want to put the focus on our Creator tonight. I want to put the focus on God and what the Course in Miracles says about how you can get rid of anxiety, how you can get rid of your apprehension, how you can get rid of your fear about anything that's happening right now. And that's what we're going to cover in this lesson. Now, in order for you to really benefit from what I'm talking about, it's going to be important that you really recognize the guidelines for the Course in Miracles. What I'm about to share with you is how the Course in Miracles says you should approach the Course in Miracles. At the beginning of the workbook, it gives guidelines. And these guidelines are that you should remember only this. Just remember this. I am the truth repetition teacher, the divine repetition teacher. The Course in Miracles is constantly telling us that we need to remember what it's saying and use what it's saying. Not analyze what it's saying, but remember what it's saying and use what it's saying. And so it says in order to really get the Course in Miracles, to really let yourself hear what the Course in Miracles is saying, you need not believe the ideas that I'm about to cover from the Course in Miracles. You need not accept the ideas that I'm about to share from A Course in Miracles. You need not even welcome the ideas that I'm sharing from A Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles says some of these ideas you may actively resist. So let's just get that straight. Some of these ideas you may actively resist. I do the Course in Miracles class live so that we can interact with each other, so that the mighty companions can all interact with each other. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm thankful that you're here. But remember, some of these ideas that I'm going to cover from A Course in Miracles you may actively resist. Some of the ideas from A Course in Miracles you may find hard to believe some of the ideas for the Course in Miracles. But remember, the Thursday night hardcore Course in Miracles class that I'm doing on Facebook Live, it's aimed at those who have decided that the Course in Miracles is what they want to learn and that the Course in Miracles is their path and that they would love the support of someone who's been focusing on the Course in Miracles for 4 decades, which is what I have been doing. And I've been doing the Course in Miracles full time for over 30 years. So this is not a class for anybody that needs to be convinced about the validity or the value of A Course in Miracles. This is not what Thursday night hardcore Course in Miracles is for. It's for us doing it together and hearing it together and using the ideas. So some of the ideas you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas are going to be quite startling. The Course in Miracles says you aren't asked to judge. You aren't asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all. It says that if you use the ideas, not if you analyze the ideas. It says if you use the ideas. It says if you use the ideas, the use of the ideas will give the ideas in the Course in Miracles meaning to you. And using the ideas in the Course in Miracles will show you that the ideas, using the ideas, will show you that the ideas are true. Using the ideas will show you that the ideas are true. Did I say using the ideas will show you that the ideas are true? Yeah, I said using the ideas will show you that the ideas are true. So let's get started. Lesson 47. Lesson 47 is God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. So what is God? God is the strength in which you trust. If you think money is what makes you strong, then money is your God. If you think having to have another person in the relationship, that's what is your strength, then that's your God. God is the strength in which you trust. So that's really what God is to you. It's the strength in which you trust. That may not be the real creator, but that is the strength, whatever the strength is in which you trust, that is your God. For some people, that's power, that's money, that's fame, that's who you know. They think that that's what's taking care of them. Their education, whatever you think is the strength in which you trust, that's your God. But there really is God, and there really is a creator. The Course in Miracles says you did not create yourself. You did not create yourself. The Course in Miracles says the only problem that we have is a communication problem, that we don't know how to communicate with our creator, and we don't know how to recognize when we are communicating with our creator. So God is the strength in which you trust. The first sentence is such a powerful sentence. It says, if you are trusting in your own strength, if you are trusting in your own strength, if you are trusting in your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive. You have every reason to feel anxious. You have every reason to be fearful if you're trusting in your own strength. So let me ask you right now, is there an area of your life that you feel apprehensive? Is there an area of your life that you feel anxious? Is there an area of your life that you feel fearful? Do you know that the Course in Miracles is saying to you, you feel apprehensive, anxious, and fearful because you are trusting in your strength. You're not trusting in the strength of God. You're not trusting in the strength of the universe. You're not trusting in the strength of love. If you feel apprehensive, anxious, and fearful, you are trusting in what? You're trusting in you. You're trusting in you separate from God. If you feel anxious, fearful, if you feel apprehensive about anything in your life, you're not trusting in God. Don't even fool yourself about that. You're not trusting in God. You are trusting in your own strength. So the Course in Miracles says there is a question that you need to ask yourself. There's a question that you need to ask yourself. The question you need to ask yourself is, what can you predict? What can you control? What is there in you that can always be counted on? What is there in you? You know all the different changes that you go through all the time. One day you feel good, one day you feel bad. One minute you feel confident, the next minute you're worried about something. Let's be real with each other. So the Course in Miracles is saying, well, what is there in you that can really be counted on? What would give you the ability to be aware of all the facets of any problem? What would give you the ability to be aware of all facets of any problem and to resolve all facets of any problem? And to resolve all facets of any problem in such a way that only good can come of it. Do you know how to solve any problem in every problem in such a way that only good can come of it? What is there in you that can be counted on in all situations? What is there in you that can resolve any problem, every problem, in such a way that only good can come of it? What is there in you that gives you the recognition of the right solution? What is there in you that always gives you the recognition of the right solution? What is there in you separate from God that can guarantee that the right solution can be accomplished? What is there in you, your little human self, your little separated self, that can answer any problem in a way that's going to result in good for everyone. Did you have how the Course in Miracles is actually asking you to ask yourself those questions? So let's review. I'm the divine repetition teacher because the Course in Miracles says that the main thing is to remember what it's saying and to use the ideas. The thing I've noticed about most Course in Miracles students, or many Course in Miracles students, since I've been teaching it for 4 decades, is Course in Miracles students can tell you everything except what exactly the Course in Miracles is saying on a page and remember it. So the Course in Miracles is answering questions like right now. Whatever area of your life you feel apprehensive, whatever area of your life that you feel anxious, whatever area of your life you feel fearful, that's where you're trusting in your own strength. So you separate from God, your ego, your little human mind, it does not know how to solve every situation and every problem in every way in such a way that only good will come of it. It says right in paragraph 2, of yourself, you can do none of these things. None of what things? You can't predict and control everything of yourself. You can't always be counted on all by yourself. You don't have the ability to be aware of every facet of any problem and to resolve any problem in such a way that only good can come of it, of yourself. You can't recognize the right solution in every situation and circumstance and guarantee that that right solution will be accomplished of yourself. What I'd love to do is use A Course in Miracles to teach A Course in Miracles. We're on lesson 47, God is the strength in which I trust, in the Course in Miracles workbook. So, to believe that you can solve everything on your own is to put your trust where trust is unwarranted. If you just believe in yourself, separate from your Creator, separate from love, separate from God, the Course in Miracles says that justifies your fear. You're right. You should be afraid if you just trusted in you. You're right. You should feel anxiety and depression and anger and sorrow if you just depended on you alone, on your own, being able to solve every problem and figure everything out. Who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe? When you just put your faith in yourself separate from the Creator, when you put your faith in just your little human self separate from your Creator, the Course says you are having faith in weakness. And how can you have faith in weakness and feel safe? So the truth is, if you want to feel safe, you're never going to feel safe as long as you're just dependent on yourself separate from God. Do you know you'll never feel totally safe dependent on human beings and your human self and the self that thinks it's on its own, self-sufficient in the world, trying to make it? The Course in Miracles is saying right there, how can you put your faith in weakness and think you're going to feel safe? But here's the next question. Who can put his faith in strength and feel weak? So if you feel weak in whatever area of your life that you feel weak, then you have not put your strength, you haven't put your faith in strength, you haven't put your faith in strength. If you feel weak in any area of your life, you have not put your faith in strength. Another word for God is strength. Another word for God is strength. So if I'm really putting my faith in the Creator, if I'm really putting my faith in the love that created us, I will not feel weak. I will not feel afraid. I will not have anxiety, depression, and anger and sadness. So if you feel in sorrow, anger, depression, anxiety, and fear, you are not putting your faith in the Creator. You're not putting your faith in God. You're not putting your faith in Spirit if you feel fear, anxiety, depression, anger, or sorrow. So don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. Be honest with yourself in whatever area of your life that you're feeling any kind of fear. That is the area where you are dependent on yourself and you're not dependent on the universe. You're not dependent on your relationship to your creator. So the first step to healing your mind is recognizing the problem so the problem can be solved. According to A Course in Miracles, the problem is that we feel separate from our source, that we feel disconnected from our source. That's our real problem. We think our problems are the things that are going on in the world, or the thing that's going on in our personal life, or the thing that's going on outside of us. The Course in Miracles says your only problem is that you feel separate from God. Then in paragraph 3, do you want to know what your safety is? It says here, God is your safety in every circumstance. God is your safety. Where? In every circumstance. It said every circumstance. It didn't say some circumstances. The Course in Miracles says God is your safety in every circumstance. Every circumstance. So you can't name a circumstance in your life that God isn't the safety for you in that circumstance. And the Course in Miracles says that God has a voice, that God's voice speaks for God in all situations and in every aspect of all situations. So the voice for God, the voice for the Creator, the voice for love, called the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit, from A Course in Miracles perspective, the Holy Spirit is the voice for God. God's voice, the voice of truth, is called the Holy Spirit. When the Course in Miracles says Holy Spirit, is talking about God's voice, the voice of love. And the voice for love, the voice for God, speaks for God, speaks for love. Where? In it says in here, in all situations and in every aspect of all situations. It didn't say every situation but looking for a parking space. It didn't say every situation but trying to be cured of a disease. The Course in Miracles says there are no hierarchy of illusions. There's not one illusion that is more real or bigger than another one. So finding a parking space is no more different than trying to find a vaccine that cures the flu. Whatever we come up with in any situation. It says it right here. God's voice speaks for God in all situations and in every aspect of all situations. And what is the voice for truth? What is the voice for God in you? What is it going to do? God's voice will tell you exactly what to do to call on God's strength and God's protection. So how do you call on the Creator's protection? How do you call upon the Creator's strength? Well, it says it right here. The Holy Spirit, God's voice, the Creator's voice, is going to tell you exactly what to do to call on God's protection. So if you want to be protected by the higher power, if you want to be protected by your Creator, the only way, the best way for you to be able to call on that protection is going to be through your ability to hear God's voice. So as a Course in Miracles student, your number one priority should be doing what the Course in Miracles teaches so that you can remove every block in you that keeps you from hearing the voice of God in you. Your spiritual work is to get out of the way so that God's voice, the Holy Spirit, can tell you exactly what to do to call on God's strength and on God's protection. I'm going to repeat myself over and over again in different ways until you hear what I'm saying. You have every reason to feel apprehensive and afraid and be worried about how you're going to make it if you're just dependent on yourself and your ego, which is yourself, your small self, separate from God. If you really want to feel strong, if you really want to feel protected, then you have to put your strength in your Creator. Your Creator has a voice that is inside of you, that will tell you exactly what to do to call on your Creator's protection and to call on your Creator's strength. There are no exceptions. There are no exceptions. What does that mean? There is not a situation that you can come up with. There is not a relationship or a circumstance that you can come up with or be in that you cannot call on God's strength and that you cannot call on God's protection. But you have to learn how to hear the voice for God. You have to be willing to listen to exactly what you're being told to do in order to call on God's protection and God's strength. And the first thing to realize is you got to resign. According to the Course in Miracles, you have to resign as your own teacher. You got to let go of that idea that you're going to teach yourself how to call on the voice for God, and you got to depend on yourself in order to learn how to hear the voice for God. The Course in Miracles is just what it says. It's a course in mind training. It is a course in teaching you how to call upon God's protection and God's strength. So you would need the course if you already knew how to do it, right? So we know that we've got to be open-minded to hear what it's saying and to remember what it's saying, even if we don't believe it at first. So what does it say? It says, there are no exceptions because God has no exceptions. So that means you are included. You are included in the protection of God. You are included in the strength of God. You are included in the love of God. You are included. There are no exceptions. No one is left out. The Course in Miracles teaches that the main characteristic of love is that love includes everyone, that love leaves no one out. Specialness leaves other people out. And that's why the Course in Miracles teaches that what we are practicing with each other is not love. What we give each other is not love, according to the Course in Miracles. What we give to each other is specialness. We have some people that we treat special, that we treat differently from other people, and the Course just calls that specialness. And then there's some people that we exclude from our love, our so-called love, and then there's some people that we include in our special love. But the Course in Miracles says, you know what? That's not real love. That's not real love. But God's love is real love, and real love has no exception. Real love has everybody. Everything is included in real love. So the reason why we go through so many disappointments in love is because we're not giving each other real love. Do you think for 1 minute that we would be going through the type of fear and separation and divisiveness and chaos that we're seeing in the world right now if we were really giving each other love, if we were truly seeing each other as one? So the Course in Miracles says, in this situation that we're in right now, in this situation that you're in right now, it says, God is your safety in every circumstance. It says there are no exceptions because God has no exceptions. And you could substitute the word love for God. And you could say, love has no exceptions, which means the voice which speaks for God thinks as God does. The voice that speaks for love speaks and thinks as love does. So if I'm going to speak for God, if I'm going to speak for love, if I'm going to speak for truth, then I've got to think like the truth. If I'm going to speak for God, I got to think like God. If I'm going to speak for love, then I have to think like love thinks. If I'm going to speak for freedom and unity, I have to think like a mind that is free and a mind that wants unity thinks. So the voice for God, the Holy Spirit, speaks for God, and it thinks the exact same way that God thinks. So if you're going to be the voice for light on this planet, if you're going to be the voice for love, then you've got to speak and think as love speaks and thinks. And the Course in Miracles says today. Notice, when did it say? The Course in Miracles says today we are going to try something. So what are we going to try? We're going to try to reach past your own weakness. What are we getting ready to do now, boys and girls? We are getting ready to reach past your own weakness. So that's the same as saying we're going to reach past our ego, which is another term for weakness. We're going to reach past your own weakness. We're going to try to reach past your own weakness to the source of real strength. We're going to reach past your weakness to real strength. What are we going to try to do? We're going to try to reach past your own weakness to the source, which is God, which is the source of real strength. Strength you can really count on. So, I love how the Course in Miracles says 4 5-minute practice periods. And people will say they don't have time enough to do the Course in Miracles workbook lesson. We're talking about 5 minutes. 4 5 minutes practice periods are necessary today. But the Course says, but I'm going to urge you to do more than that. But I'm just asking for you to try to do this for 5 minutes, 4 times a day. That is not a big requirement. To try to do what this is saying for 5 minutes, 5 friggin' minutes, 4 times a day. It says it right here. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes and begin as usual. It says, repeat the idea for today with your eyes closed. God is the strength in which I trust. Say it. God is the strength in which I trust. Close your eyes right now if you can, and it's safe to do it. Close your eyes and say, God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. Then we're going to just take a minute or two. And what I want you to do, it says search for situations in your life which you have invested with fear. So it's asking us to do what a person pretty much does all day when they're worried and afraid. If you have anxiety, fear, anger, and sorrow about anything, that's the situation that the workbook lesson is asking you to search for. So you're pretty much doing the workbook lesson if you can identify some situations that you have fear in or anxiety in. And don't sit up there and say there's absolutely nothing that you don't have any kind of anxiety about in any way, or you would be a blissed out being that would be so full of light that it would be a trip if you were even here in the first place. Because remember, the purpose of this is to heal. So it's hard to heal when you won't admit that there's anything in you that needs to be healed. So what I want you to do, I want you to search for situations and relationships in your life that you have invested with fear. Okay, do you have a situation that you have some fear and anxiety about? Dismiss each situation. So what do you do with the situation that you're feeling some type of fear or anxiety about? You dismiss it. So how do you dismiss the thing that you have invested with fear? He says, by telling yourself. And that's a really important point. The Course in Miracles says, by telling yourself. Do you know that the reason why you're unhappy about most things is because of the conversation you're having in your head? It's because of the things that you're telling yourself, that you are the one upsetting yourself because of what you're telling yourself about the thing that you are making yourself upset about. It's you that's making yourself upset. It's not the external situation in and of itself that's making you upset. It's really you that's upsetting yourself. by what you are telling yourself. So the Course in Miracles says, this is what I want you to do. I want you to tell yourself, think about the thing that you've invested in fear. Think about the thing that you have some type of frustration about and dismiss it. So how can you dismiss it? You can dismiss it by telling yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. I got this worry right now. I have some fear around my financial situation. I've been worried about how I'm going to pay my bills since I got laid off. So I've done the first part of the workbook lesson. I've searched my mind to find the thing that I'm upset about. And then I'm going to dismiss that thing that I'm upset about by telling myself, God is the strength in which I trust in my financial situation. God is the strength in which I trust in this situation that I'm afraid about. God is the strength in which I trust. Now, you don't have to believe that. It says it in the workbook. You don't have to accept that. You don't have to welcome it, because it's a new idea. It's an idea that you are trying to allow yourself to accept as true. And do you know that the Course in Miracles says that the way you get to the point that you change your mind and you accept a new idea, the way that you accept a new belief is through repetition. It's saying right here, it's telling us what to do, right? It says the first thing we're going to do is we need to reach past your weakness to the strength in you, to the source of your strength, which is God. Then it says, close your eyes and think about the thing that you have invested with fear, the thing that you are worried about. And then the next instruction is to dismiss it. So how do you dismiss the thing that you feel fear about? Well, the way you dismiss it is to tell yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. Say it to yourself. God is the strength in which I trust. Okay, so what do you do next? It says what you do next is you try to slip past all concerns, and your concerns are related to your own sense of inadequacy. So if you have concerns, it's because you are feeling your own sense of inadequacy. So that's why you are afraid. That's why you have apprehension, according to the Course. It's because you have a sense of inadequacy. It's obvious that any situation that causes you concern, any relationship that causes you concern, any situation that causes you concern is associated with feelings of inadequacy. If I feel worried, if I feel afraid, if I have anxiety, the Course in Miracles says it's because you have a sense of inadequacy. Because if you didn't have a sense of inadequacy, you would believe that you could deal with the situation successfully. So if you don't think you can deal with the situation successfully, the Course is saying, well, doesn't that mean that you must have some sense of inadequacy? So in a situation that's making you feel upset or worried is a situation that you feel inadequate to handle. So the Course in Miracles says the answer is not trusting your ego, not trusting your little self, not trusting the part of you that thinks it's just a human being that's out here trying to make it. The Course in Miracles says it right here. It is not by trusting yourself that you will gain confidence, which is just the opposite of what the world teaches. The world teaches that you're going to gain confidence by trusting in your little separate self. That if you can just trust in your little separate self, then you're going to gain confidence. The Course in Miracles teaches this just the opposite of what the world teaches. Do you know that the Course in Miracles says it's not by trusting yourself that you will gain confidence? It's not by trusting yourself, your little self with the little s, that you will gain confidence. It's not by trusting the you that thinks it is just a human being in a body It's not by trusting your separate identity, separate from God. It's not by trusting the you that has a social security number. It is not by trusting the you that has apprehension, that has worry, that has concern, that feels inadequate to handle situations that you feel upset about. That's the last you that you should be listening to. It's the one that's worried all the time, concerned all the time, that is feeling apprehension about something. The Course in Miracles says right there on the page, it's not by trusting yourself that you will gain confidence, but the strength of God, the strength of love, the strength of the universe, the strength of spirit in you is successful in all things. It didn't say the God in you is successful in some things. It said the love in you, the truth in you, the creator in you, the spirit in you, not in your ego, not in your little self. It says right here on page 75, but the strength of God in you is successful in all things. The strength of love is successful in all things. The strength of God in you. Notice it didn't say the strength of God outside you. It said the strength of God in you is successful in all things. In all things. The strength of God in you is successful in all things. Successful in all things. The strength of love in you is successful in all things. Is successful in all things. The strength of God in you is successful in all things. Successful in all things. The strength of God in you is successful in all things. So, what is a necessary step in the correction of your errors? What is a necessary step in the correction of your fear, in the correction of your lack or sickness or anxiety? What did the Course in Miracles say? What does the Course in Miracles say is a necessary step in the correction of your errors? It says a necessary step in having your fear, your errors corrected is the recognition of your own frailty. If you recognize that the you that you think you are it feels inadequate, that it feels frail, if you recognize that you need the power of God in you in order to be safe, in order to feel protected, you need to get in touch with the power of love in you, the power of your creator in you. But the Course is saying you won't go for the power of God until you recognize your own frailty. That is a necessary step in the correction of your errors, is to recognize your own frailty. Is a necessary step. It didn't just say it is a step. It said a necessary step in the correction of your errors is the recognition of your own frailty. But recognizing your own frailty is hardly a sufficient recognition in giving you the confidence that you need. So it says recognize that you have a sense of inadequacy, but don't stop there, because that's not the only thing you need to have the confidence that you need. You are entitled to confidence. You are entitled. The Course in Miracles says to which you are entitled. So what is it that you are entitled to? You are entitled to the confidence you need. 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 It starts out with you recognizing your own frailty, admitting that there's a part of you that feels inadequate, or you wouldn't be worried, or you wouldn't be afraid. So that's the first thing you got to do. You have to recognize that there's a part of you that feels inadequate, or you wouldn't be afraid in the first place. But you are entitled to confidence. So what is it that you need to gain an awareness of? What is it that you need to gain an awareness of? What is it that you need to become aware of? What is it that you need to become aware of? You need to become aware that confidence in your real strength is justified. Your real strength is God, and God is in you. So you need to gain an awareness that having confidence in the strength of God in you is justified. But having confidence in the strength of your ego, thinking that you're on your own, that you got to do it on your own, that is not what you're supposed to have confidence in. You're not supposed to place confidence in the part of you that doesn't believe in God, that doesn't believe in love, that doesn't believe in oneness, that doesn't believe in spirit, that thinks it's afraid and inadequate and on its own. Do not, I repeat, do not put your faith in that part of what you think you are. Do not put your faith in the ego. But you should feel confident. You should have confidence in your real strength, which is the strength of God in you. And that confidence is justified in every respect and in all circumstances. You should have confidence in the God in you, in the truth in you, in the spirit in you. It's good to have confidence in the God in you. That confidence should be the kind of confidence that you want to be aware of. That confidence in your real self, in the God in you, is justified in every respect and in all circumstances. So what do we need to do in the later part of this practice? See, this is using the Course. See, it is the workbook that will make the Course in Miracles real in your life. If you're trying to skip over doing the workbook, or you're not going to do the workbook lessons, then you're not really a true student of A Course in Miracles. It is not really your path if you're not willing to do what the Course says is necessary for you to get the result of the total safety and protection that the Course in Miracles is offering you. How can you say you really want something, but you don't want the means to achieve it? It is no way. It's no way that you can really believe that you really want what the Course in Miracles is trying to give you, but you're not really willing to do what the Course in Miracles is asking you to do, which is the workbook lessons. And this is one of the workbook lessons. Don't you see how practical it is? Do you see how powerful it is? So the Course says, try to reach down into your mind. Try to reach down into your mind to a place of real safety. You will recognize that you have reached that place of real safety in your mind. How can you tell? How can you tell if you have reached that real place of safety in your mind? How can you tell? You will feel a sense of deep peace if you have reached that place of real safety in your mind. You will know when you have reached that place of real safety in your mind, because you will feel a deep sense of peace. How can you tell when you have reached deep inside yourself to that strength of God? You will feel a sense of deep peace, however briefly. Even if it's briefly, you will feel a sense of deep peace. Let go of all the trivial things. Let go of all the trivial things that churn and bubble on the surface of your mind. All of those concerns about the things that you're focused on in the world that you wish were different in order for you to be happy. The Course in Miracles calls that the trivial things that churn and bubble on the surface of your mind. Reach down below all of the trivial things that churn and bubble on the surface of your mind. Reach beneath your worrying about the things that you are worrying about in the world. Reach down and below them to the kingdom of heaven, which is love. Reach down, keep going past your worries, your anxieties, and your cares that are on the bubbling and churning on the surface of your mind. All those things that you are concerned about, thinking about, worried about, that are churning and bubbling on the surface of your mind. Reach down below them to the kingdom of heaven, which is the Course describes as our reality, our perfect joy. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace. Listen to me now. There is a place in you where there is complete peace. Repetition. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace. Do you know that the Course in Miracles describes the word perfect as meaning complete? So perfect means complete. Perfect means complete. So there is a place beneath your worries and concerns that is a place of complete peace. Are you aware that the Course in Miracles, its definition of peace is total fulfillment? The Course in Miracles definition of the word peace is complete fulfillment. So, there is a place in you where there is perfect, complete fulfillment. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace. Do you hear me, mighty companion? Do you hear me? Listen. There is a place in you where nothing is impossible. You have to repeat that to yourself. You have to tell yourself the truth. To reach down beneath your fears, your anxieties, those trivial things that's churning and bubbling on the surface of your mind. You have to tell yourself something other than what you are telling yourself that's keeping you upset. It's what you are telling yourself. It's that voice in your head that's telling you what to be concerned about, what to worry about. That's the ego. That's the trivial. That's the voice that's giving you what the Course in Miracles calls the trivial things. So you want to go beneath that. And how do you go beneath the trivial things? You have to tell yourself something new. You have to tell yourself something new. And it's saying right here what you should tell yourself. Tell yourself there is a place in you where there is perfect peace. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace. So I would tell myself, there's a place in me where there is perfect peace. There's a place in me. I know I have these things that are churning and bubbling on the surface of my mind that I'm using and investing with fear. But I'm going to tell myself, God is the strength in which I trust. I'm not going to trust in my ego anymore. But there is a justification for trusting in the strength of love, the strength of God in me. There is a place in me where there is perfect peace. That's what you would have to tell yourself. Then tell yourself, there is a place in me where nothing is impossible. There's a place in you where nothing is impossible. Do you know there is a place in you where nothing is impossible? There is a place in you where the strength of God abides. There is a place in you where God's strength is. There's a place in you where God's strength is. There's a place in you where the strength of love is. There's a place in you where the strength of God is located. There is a place in you where the strength of God abides. Then what else does the Course in Miracles? Notice that we are being told exactly what to do. And so if you're being told exactly what to do, then that is the voice of the Holy Spirit. This is the voice of the Holy Spirit This workbook lesson is the Holy Spirit, the voice for God, telling us exactly what to do. So until you can hear the voice for God, the voice for truth inside yourself, then use the book. The book is nothing but the voice of the Holy Spirit, the voice for God in an external form that you can read and use and study until you get to the point that you can hear the voice for truth in yourself. So until you are able to hear what this is saying inside your own mind, then don't sweat it. You have it right here in the Course in Miracles. You have it right here in the workbook. You don't have to figure out what to tell yourself. It's already told you. Tell yourself, whether you believe it or not, tell yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. When you do that, that is symbolic of your willingness. That is symbolic of your willingness to obey what the Holy Spirit is telling you. When you do what you are told, then that means that you are surrendered to the voice of God because you are doing what you are told. And you are told to first search out the situations in your life that you have invested with fear. You were told to dismiss those situations by telling yourself the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is God is the strength in which I trust. Then you were told that if you're feeling inadequate, if you weren't feeling inadequate, you would think you could handle every situation and you wouldn't be afraid. But it also said, but that's okay that you experience anxiety when you're trusting in your little human separate self. That it makes sense that you would feel concerned about everything if you're trusting in your little separate self. But you have every reason to feel confident that the God in you can successfully resolve any situation or circumstance in your life. And then it told us, well, how can you tell? How can you tell if you really reach that place of peace? How can you really tell when you reach that place of real safety inside yourself? Well, the way that you can tell when you have reached a real place of safety inside yourself is you will feel a sense of deep peace, when you reach that place of safety inside yourself. But you got to go beneath all the trivial things that are churning and bubbling in the surface of your mind, the things that you have invested with fear and worry. You have to go beneath that. You have to reach down below that. There's a place where there is perfect peace in you. There's a place where nothing is impossible in you. There is a place in you where the strength of God abides. And so the Course says, what should you do? It says, repeat this idea often. Use this idea that God is the strength in which I trust. It says, use it as your answer to any disturbance. It didn't say some disturbances. It says, use this thought as the answer to any disturbance. So you had something that's coming up that you're disturbed about, go, I'm going to admit that I have this fear, this apprehension, and then I'm going to tell myself, whether I believe it or not, I'm going to tell myself what the Course in Miracles tells me to tell myself. And the Course in Miracles says, tell yourself that God is the strength in which you trust. Remember that peace is your right. What? Peace is your right. It says, remember that peace is your right. So what is your right? Your right is peace. And why do you have a right to peace? You have a right to peace because you are finally giving your trust to the strength of God, That's why you are entitled to feel peace, because you are finally trusting in God's strength. And I'm going to do one little quick thing right at the end. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm a full-time teacher. And if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, which I would certainly appreciate, then go to www.earlpurdy.com, earlpurdy.com. If you want to use Venmo, my email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com, earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. I am available for coaching, mentoring, and also giving you insight on how to handle, according to the course, anything that you need to get handled and to feel some peace about or get resolved. Then go to my website, earlpurdy.com, look under Clarity Session, and it will explain in detail the services that I offer. And I'm also for over 45 years, I've been a soul purpose astrologer and numerologist as well. So I'm here to be truly helpful. Whatever the situation is that you're in, there is an answer to that situation that I can support and help you find. Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook. I do another Course in Miracles, Facebook Live. And then on Sundays, that's on Sunday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And of course, Hardcore Course in Miracles on Thursday, where we are going to be focusing on the application of these ideas. That's what my focus is going to be on Thursday night, just like it was tonight. How do we take the time to actually apply these ideas? That's what we're doing right now. We are applying the idea. So repeat this idea often. What idea? God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which you trust. God is the strength in which you trust. Think of the thing that you have invested in fear. Think of the thing that you are using to upset yourself or the relationship or the person. And then dismiss that thing that you're using to take your peace away by saying to yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. Use that as your answer to any disturbance. So, what is it that you need to remember? What is it that the Course in Miracles says you need to remember? It says you need to remember that peace is your right. Peace is your right. Peace is your right. Total fulfillment is your right because you are giving your trust to the strength of God. You are giving your trust to the strength of God, and so therefore, peace is your right. Mighty companions, you are awesome. If a person is not on Facebook, then they can still watch my videos by simply Googling my name, and you can just go www.facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live, and you can watch my broadcast. And remember, I have tons of videos on YouTube as well as on my website, earlpurdy.com. So I'm available. I'm here to be truly helpful. And I also want to take a second to thank those, especially thank those of you who have been generous with me as a full-time teacher. Thank you so much. And I also want to thank those of you who are here for whatever reason, whether you make a financial expression of appreciation or not. I still love you. I'm still glad that you're here. I'm here to be truly helpful. But the Course says we should always express appreciation at every level that we're being blessed by each other. So I love you. Remember, when you're worried, you're trusting in your own strength. And so you have every reason to feel apprehensive. And when you're feeling apprehensive, tell yourself, oh my God, I'm not really trusting in the strength of God right now. I'm trusting in my ego. I'm trusting in my own little self. So I need to remind myself that God is the strength in which I trust, because that's symbolic of my willingness to have God heal me and this situation. Okay, mighty companions, I love you. Listen to it or watch it at least 4 times. 4 is the number of building so that this can become a bigger part of your consciousness. You are a blessing. I love you, and may the course be with you. Mwah.